He has Queen of Pain or Viper or something like that, and he runs the opponent over. Or TA is another hero of his. The odd one out is where he plays Dragon Knight, but it's never Dragon Knight versus QoP or Dragon Knight versus Shadowfeed where he's expected to lose. They will not draft him into that. So if they pick DK, it's where they feel like he can get away with it.
All right. Yeah, something to keep a lookout for when we go into the draft here. On the side of Empire, I mean, do you think this is going to matter much for them during the draft, Ben? Or, again, are you more concerned about, hey, they didn't adapt that well in that first match. Do they have anything else where they can really step back onto the plate this match going up against eHome?
I think that winning the lanes is going to be pretty difficult for them. Maybe concentrate on killing ROTK a lot and making sure that he doesn't have much of an impact on the map and zoning him out very early. I think that's going to be very important for them. Also, Yoki, I think, should move around a little bit more. In his Spirit Breaker, he had a double kill on the top very, very early. And then after that, he was just... He didn't really run around and help out the other lanes, which were suffering greatly as we saw the Ember Spirit. So I think they just need to, just band together a little bit more, TP, and help each other out, similar to how we commented on the Gyro play from Aggressive. He, TP's in very, very early. And
even without mana.
He's there to help his team. And as as an off lane, as a mid, I think those are the players that I would expect to help out the most. The supports have been trying to do what they've been doing, but they have to make sure that the early game goes smoothly, so they aren't in a deficit. I feel like when they're in a deficit, they try and farm their way back in. Whereas if they're ahead, that's really where they shine, where they exert map control, where the opponents fear them. I don't really think they instilled any sort of fear in Vici in any of those games.
Okay, all right. That's I think fair points from all three of you guys. We are looking at Team Empire. Just looks like, they are definitely reviewing just where things might have gone wrong or where they do want to adapt a little bit going up against eHome. We saw the eHome players just settling in as they are about to play their very first game of TI5. Now, before we wrap up, before we get into the last match, I do want to ask, we discussed it a little bit yesterday, even in the beginning of the show, but now that we've seen a lot of these teams play to some extent, where do we feel about the Group A, Group B differential? Group A, definitely a little bit harder or stronger, or Group B, just not enough games yet? Because so far, Empire, for instance, if Empire loses 0-2 here, right, it clearly seems like Group A might be a little bit harder because it's not as a big differential. No one lost 0-2 in their first two matches.
If you just want to look at the average skill level of each group, I think Newbie has impressed, so that definitely pulls Group B up for a lot of people's expectations.
True, yeah.
They're most were just counting Newbie out, going in, they are not going to be a threat. And I personally was I have no idea, so I'm not going to judge. They could have prepared and practiced, and they have really talented players, but DAC was just a mega flop for them, and they haven't really been showing two great performances afterwards either. But they look pretty good against both EG and
VP.
Yeah. So I could definitely see Newbie being impressive again this year. Probably not top 4, but they could be looking pretty good. And then I would say Vici Gaming looked good, all in all.
That's true, yeah.
So for me, I still think what I thought in the start. I said the groups are even. I personally think that is the case, or as close as you get.
Right on. Winter, were you more impressed by Vici and Newbie, just like Syndrome was?
I think I remember I said that Group A was slightly stronger, but Newbie, because they are doing far better than expected, so I guess at this point it's more or less even. Group A and Group B, they are as tough as the other group.
Right on. Ben, what about you? Specifically, let's talk in Group B. We've talked about Newbie and Vici a little bit, but EG, perhaps not as strong of a showing that people respect. We were talking about the drafting phase. We're not exactly sure what the reasoning there was of giving up the Lesh 2 times in a row. Where do you think EG is right now?
I think their performance has been a little suspect, dropping a game versus Newbie, but at the same time, I still think their skill level and skill ceiling is really, really high. So I don't really doubt how far they'll go into the tournament. As far as the others, I think CDEC is really strong. I think, it's it's just a wild card, but they're really good. And on top of that, Empire has been just slightly disappointing, I would say, for me.
Okay. Also in Group B, of course, MVP Hot 6 there. MVP, overall, it looks like at least one of the teams they want to get into the top 8 eventually. Do you see that happening, given, again, the, pleasantly surprising results from the other teams in Group B?
I think MVP Hot 6 is going to place at least 2 placements higher than MVP Phoenix. But then the question for me is it going to be 12-10 or is it going to be 10-8? That's kind of where they are right now for me. Or actually, maybe arguably, MVP Phoenix could even be among the 3 bottom teams right now. It's a little hard to say
with
this little tape on them, but if an MVP team brings home a top 8, it's MVP Hot 6. I'm fairly confident already with what
I think so, but I want to put an extra point on Phoenix where they have much more motivation because it's March last TI. He's going to Army, so I wouldn't count them out. They might pull out a surprise for us.
That's true. I mean, I like that you bring that up because when it's a tournament like TI and that's kind of on the line where you know he's going to retire, I mean, that's kind of the joke, right? Like, some players say they're going to retire, they return, but if he has to go to the military for 2 years, chances are we're not seeing him play at least. Again, maybe he returns to coaching or something like that. But in that case, yeah, that could be a complete motivational factor. Maybe Phoenix pulls something out that no one ever expected. So that will be interesting. We will get to see Hot 6 tomorrow on the mainstream, so that's a little bit of a primer. But for now, we are going into our very last match. The last best of 2 for day 1. It will be Empire versus eHome. Kicking this off, Empire is on the dire side with eHome on Radiant. So we'll have to keep an eye out. I mean, specifically, of course, for eHome, as we've been mentioning, what are they going to do for the mid lane? That matchup, how is Empire going to react to that if they have a chance at all? And Empire, how are they going to adapt from their performance earlier?
This is eHome's first series, yeah?
Yes.
So that would mean they have 3 games on one of the next days.
Yes, it sounds accurate. I'll have to double check while we go through.
Or
What,
wait, no,
no.
they
No,
have
they
1,
don't
2,
have
2,
to.
2,
Yeah, because everyone has 1, 2,
They're
2,
one
2,
of the
yeah.
teams that only plays 1 game a day.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, of course. So, yeah, this is their debut. I'm very curious to see their drafting more than anything. I think their eHome playstyle is pretty defined. As Winter said, what ROTK shows up today? Is it Feast or Famine?
I really like the comics at DAC. That was hilarious.
Did you actually get the English ones?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's a good way to describe ROTK. Like, he is, I mean, he's clearly an extraordinary player. He placed second at last year, commanding Vici, to almost take down Newbie in the finals. So I don't think anyone doubts his skill. It's just, I mean, it's he's a funny player to watch.
He might just have too much to do at once, right? If he's
maybe.
drafting, he's captaining, and he's playing off lane. Like most other captains you see play support.
Right.
Some captains actually do play core roles, but it's pretty rare. And
S4?
Depending, for example, S4. But depending on what team you're playing with, maybe if you look at a team like Secret, I think it's easier for any player because Team Secret are also incredibly experienced in that they don't really need very clear guidance and very clear leadership constantly because most of them just really know what to do. But in a team like eHome, there's less experienced players. I could imagine that RTK kind of needs to, I won't say hold the players' hands on the way, but definitely needs to guide them more than in Secret. So maybe he has difficulty finding the focus to perform in his own game at the same time. That can be an issue.
Okay, that sounds like it could be the case here for eHome. Now, Gyro was open, Tusk was open too, but Gyro going to be the selection here for Empire.
Shadowfin is open for CTY.
That's a CTY hero.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And Quap is out of the pool, so one of his natural enemies.
Oh, okay. But passing on it, I was going to actually bring that up too, because Quap was banned on the side of Dire, because it looked like maybe they did favor that Gyro a little bit more, but SF could have been an easy pick, but Dazzle coming through again. Dazzle's been showing up left and right.
What's new?
So that's going to be a little bit of a thorn for Team Empire.
When I think of Silent, I actually think of Gyrocopter, and that is his signature hero, definitely. Across multiple patches, across multiple years, he is phenomenal with Gyro. And yeah, he does play Ember, and he has played Quap before. I actually think they need to reprioritize the Quap a little bit, but Gyro is, they're really good at stacking, play around him, making sure he doesn't die, making sure he gets his damage off.
Do you feel like his Gyro is more signature than Klink's? Because that was the other hero I was thinking about.
It goes way back.
But maybe it's too long ago.
Yeah,
that's a good valid point. Yeah. It's a hero actually we saw EG pick in both their games.
Yeah.
So they definitely feel like it's a core hero to bring up, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Empire getting it later. I think it's a very powerful hero after the buff to Desolator in particular. He just comes online really early and has ridiculous physical damage output. Solar Crest is another great item from the hero, so he is a hero I think we will be seeing more of this tournament than we have in the previous months.
How do we ignore Tusk?
Yeah.
For some reason, I assume he would ban.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Tusk got through.
We just expect the hero to be either first pick or first back. Yeah.
So now being banned out by Empire, they're like, all right, you don't take it. We'll just ban it out after taking Earthshaker.
Again, Gyro, I think, has received much higher priority than he has been in the past month.
Yeah.
I don't think that Tusk... I didn't expect Tusk to be, kind of ignored over Gyro. And as first pick too, like I think banning Queen of Pain is strange, I would say.
Yeah, because you can always snag it up, and like we mentioned before, Quap is a very flexible hero. You can lane her anywhere, and it doesn't really affect the whole Jarv in general too much. So
I think it's because of their last series. Like they got destroyed by the Quap in the second game, and then the first game they were very reliant on it, and it didn't deliver. It might have been because it was a safe lane Quap instead of having a resolution Quap, but I think that's definitely a weak point if I'm looking to analyze Empire's drafts. It's like you shouldn't be banning it. You shouldn't be having to ban it. Right. Unless you have like, okay, well, we're going to pick Shadow Fiend. Maybe if you're like Radiant in first pick or something like that, but Dire first pick, I think you cannot go wrong with it.
Okay. Now, the Visage ban, not a ban we've seen too commonly, at least not here at TI. Winter, what do you make of that for Team Empire?
Might be actually something that they, in the past eHome games that they prefer to pick the hero a lot. But in general, it's obviously weird to actually ban that hero. Like, it used to be picked a lot with Drow, but because of the nerf recently, teams have been not favoring that combination of heroes much more.
Alright, well, we'll see. Maybe just a result of their preparation a little bit. And then Storm ban. Going by pretty quick for eHome. Looks like they had their mind set on the Bloodseeker.
I'm actually surprised we haven't seen any Drow this tournament. She's still like okay strong with Visage, clearly not as strong as before, but I think it's like it has been met with a few like losses here and there. But I think like if you see them pick like Ember for example, I think you can just punish really hard with the Drow Ranger, and you can just dominate your lanes really easily. Because I mean, a lot of the games that we've seen is just like, oh wow, 10 minutes, this lane's just gotten out of control, and it's almost impossible to come back from.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, maybe that's something that's going to develop over the week, right? Because you mentioned Ember, but Ember was not one we were expecting to see this often coming into TI5. So maybe we'll see that develop as teams start to study each other's tapes after day one.
So what do Empire usually pick for a solution? It's generally
semi-core that can actually deal damage later.
Quap, Lesh, TA, Storm,
SF Invoker.
SF Invoker. Okay, so they have plenty of options for him, so they don't need to pick it yet. They're going to grab Bane, which we've seen banned a few games and picked like once on this stream.
He was actually surprisingly good in the games that he was picked in.
Yeah, and even not on our stream, we've definitely seen Bane show up, and we've definitely had a couple of bans for Bane, but that's what Empire's going to snag up. And right after that, Rubik just saying Earthshaker, Bane, even Gyrocopter, just going to make sure that I have all those.
Tasty Rubik game.
Yeah.
There's some good steals. As far as synergy with their own team, I don't see a very... Like, it's good with Static Link, Telekinesis, to be able to do that. And actually, well, with Blood Right, it's great, too. It's very easy to set up the Blood Right. The moment you lift, you just cast Blood Right, and you throw them into the center of it, and you actually can't escape. Even with a level 1 Telekinesis, it is enough, so...
this pick tells a lot about what Empire wants to do now. Because it's going to be a more or less Earthshaker going offlane maybe, and Lina will be mid.
Yep.
Like Lina as a core is very good against Bloodseeker when he's Blood Rage and you just drop a Laguna on him. You might be able to just nuke him down from full from that. Yeah.
It's scary with the Dazzle though. As a Dazzle player is like really spot on with his grave, though he can just heal up and completely mitigate the damage from the Lina. So you have to be very, very careful now that
you have to drop him right away.
Yeah, to be fair, to give credit to all the Dazzle players so far in TI5, we've seen some really clutch plays coming out from Dazzle. So.
I mean, he can just die from full though.
Very true.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple of times, I think, with the Aghanims on Lina. And if you don't have any stat items on Dazzle, you're usually gonna die in one blow.
I actually think we saw it was in